Welcome to the PickUp Podcast, the place where women pick each other up, dust each other off, and help each other to shine. This is a place of lifting, refreshing, and truth-telling. Our goal? To collect the broken pieces of our lives and create a beautiful mosaic that reflects light and hope to the world. So take a deep breath, sis, because you've just found two new friends for your journey. We just have one question for you. Are you ready to pick up where we last left off? Let's begin. Hey y'all, what's up? It's Krisette with the PickUp Podcast, and we are back picking up where we left off with Kysha Holland. Kysha is the First Lady of Forward Life Church in Arlington, and we've chosen to gather here at the Inclusion Cafe in Arlington to talk a little bit about motherhood, and we have something in common, the melanin, right? So we want to talk about our little melanated boys and girls, sons and daughters, because there's a lot going on out there, right, for black and brown boys and girls. And so talk to us a little bit about raising two black boys in the 21st century and how you navigated getting them to adulthood.
Yes, so my sons are, my oldest one is 24 and my youngest one is 22. It's been hard because the thing is that the generation that they come up in, their schools are more diverse than they were when we were in school. So for them, it looks different.
Yeah.
So for them, they didn't have to go through the kind of things that we went through, you know. And so they kind of didn't understand what we were telling them at first. It's like, you have to be careful because you are a black boy, because you're going to be treated different. Because their friends are all, you know, they have white friends, they have Hispanic friends. So for them, it was very diverse, and they're not understanding what comes with their skin color.
Yeah.
And so we started very young, like when they start driving. My husband, we set them down and we had the conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation that a lot of people who don't have kids that are colored, they don't understand the conversations that we have to have with our sons. And that conversation is, what do you do when you're pulled over by a police officer? We've had numerous conversations with our sons about that. We taught them what they needed to do when the cop first pull you over, where you keep your hands, what you say, what you don't say, what moves you make and you don't make. And we had a conversation with them right after the whole George Floyd thing.
Yeah.
And my oldest son was picking up my youngest son from work, and they got pulled over. So the first thing my youngest son did was pull out his cell phone because he was in the passenger seat. My oldest son kept his hands. They both kept their hands where they needed to. Well, the cop saw that my son was filming him. He did come to and I appreciate that, because when he got to the car, he told him, yes, make sure your camera is on, make sure you get my face. I'm okay with that.
Wow.
And he was very nice to them, but I told them that's not what you're going to get all the time because of your skin color. The first time my oldest son he came home from work, and I guess at the time he was probably 21. He was working at Sam's Club. He came home from work, he was very upset. And I can always tell when they're upset. And I asked him, what's wrong? And he said, a white man today got mad at me at work, and he called me the N-word and told me I need to bow down to the white people I work for.
Wow.
And I said, and that was the first time he had ever been called that. He's 21.
Wow, yeah.
He had never experienced that in his life. So we had to have a conversation with him then. It's like, everybody is not going to be like your best friend Clayton. You know, his best friend is white. I said, everybody's not going to treat you like Clayton.
Yeah.
And there are some people who think that they can call you the N-word and you're supposed to bow down to them because they are white. But it was hard for us having that conversation because he was so upset. And the thing is, you know, he said his manager, who was white, told the guy, he was like, first of all, dude, you're saying this to a black man that's 6'3", 250.
Right.
You are about to get hurt.
Not even logical.
My son is what I call a gentle giant, but when he's pushed to a point, he will get upset. And when you have a white man telling you need to listen to your white manager, that was hard for him. So we've had those conversations numerous times with our sons about it. Because, I mean, the thing is, even with my husband, I worry when my husband or my sons are out. Yeah. I make all three of them have the locations on their phones. Yeah. So I can know where they are at all times. I mean, even probably about 10 years ago, me and my husband experienced being racial profiled because of the car we were driving.
Wow.
We were meeting a friend at a gas station, and we got accused of being the biggest drug dealers in Fort Worth because my husband had a Dodge Challenger. And I told the cop, I said, sir, you just sat at the car and talked to me for 30 minutes. You told me how you liked the car. You asked me, and he was probing me, I guess. You asked me what I did for a living. I told you I work in state government. You asked my husband, and then you came back, and I had to watch my husband be patted down.
Wow.
I had to then watch him search the car, and never once did he say, well, let me see your driver's license. He said, well, prove to me where you work. And I had a friend at work who always told me to keep my state government badge on me.
Wow.
And I pulled it out of my purse, and I said, here, I told you, call the number on it, they'll tell you I work there. And it was just because of the car. And he was like, oh, I thought I was going to get a big drug bust. And I was like, oh, so you thought... And he was like, well, your name is Kysha. I'm pretty sure you go by Kiki. And I was like, that's ghetto.
Wow.
And I was like, just because my name is Kysha doesn't mean that I go by Kiki. But when that happened, we had a conversation with our boys then. You know, they were younger, but we had that conversation. And I know that you've had to have that conversation with your kids.
Yeah.
And it's sad. But it's the reality that we live in as Black mothers.
It is. It's the reality. And one of the challenges you hit, like, right out the gate is that, you know, I was called the N-word for the first time when I was 8 years old. You know, so I mean, very young. You know, and what are these Black people doing in this affluent neighborhood, and what are they doing with this house and all of that? And so it's difficult because our kids don't experience it until later. So a phenomenon I've had with my kids is like they don't see it, they don't smell it. It's like, what are you talking about, Mom? Everything is cool. There's no racial injustice now. These are off until they start to experience it firsthand, and then it hits home.
Right.
And that does something to a mother's heart, right?
It does.
The first time that your kids experience that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I know when he came home, we talked to him about, you know, him being called the N-word. And I told him what happened to me. I grew up in Fort Worth. I had only been to predominantly Black high school, Black elementary, Black middle school. When I went to high school, it was, you know, half Black, half Hispanic. So what my grandmother did to me was she said, okay, we got to change this up because this is what you've been used to your whole life.
Gotcha.
My grandmother sent me down the street, 5 miles down the street to Texas Christian University, better known as TCU.
Wow.
I got on campus for orientation. My grandfather picked me up and I cried. I said, please, Papa, these people are driving Lexus and BMWs and you driving me from the south side of Fort Worth, the hood. He said, no, your grandmother said you have to go. So I went and I was told, oh, you have to play basketball because you're here because there's no Black girl here that doesn't play a sport. And I was like, no, I'm here on an academic scholarship. Well, don't go across 35 because that's the hood. And I was like, that's where I go every day.
Wow.
And so I explained that to my son. And I even had a situation where I was 18 and I had stopped in a little town off of 35 going to San Antonio and they wouldn't serve me. They served my white friend and literally bypassed me.
Yeah.
And she wanted to cause a big deal. And I'm like, no, we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
You don't understand. We really need to get out of here.
To go. Yeah.
So I told him, I said, you know, for me and your dad, we experienced this very young. You're having an experience now. But after we talked to him, I literally went in my bathroom and bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
There have been many nights that I have cried because I worry about them when they're gone. I don't sleep when they're not at home. And my oldest son doesn't live with me anymore. But I still find myself checking his location at night to make sure he's home. Mm-hmm. My youngest son, you know, I tell him, you know, because he has a diverse set of friends and he hangs out like in West 7th and Fort Worth and those type things. And I'm like, you have to still be careful. Everybody is not your friend. Everybody doesn't think like you. And there are people that will hurt you just because of the color of your skin.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna be honest, you know, because of everything that has happened in the last couple of years, I have always been an advocate of not carrying.
Yeah.
I, because of everything has happened, took a class to get my concealed handgun license, and I carry now. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to be, like when the situation just happened in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I had to go to Target the next day. Literally, I don't leave home without it, my gun. I don't now. But when I'm in Target and my head is on a swivel, because I'm like, hey, can somebody walk in here and they're going to shoot me because I'm a Black woman.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we have that worry that people just don't understand. I've tried to explain this to some of my white friends. I've had some of them unfriend me because they don't get it. And it's like, you will never get it because you're not me.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to sympathize and you have to want to know and you have to want to listen and not want to project that you're right because you don't have the same experience. So you have to listen and be an advocate and an ally. And that's something that's really tough to tell your kids and tough to be able to teach them. And it's one of the struggles with having kids that are adults, right? My oldest is 18, and so it's just a different world.
Yeah.
When you're 10, you can run around and kick around, and it doesn't matter, but we have to teach them those differences, right? So that way they're well equipped.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I think we could probably sit and talk about this topic for hours. Hours and hours. Easily. Because there's so much to it, right? There's so much to talk about in raising Black and brown kids in 2022. But we'll stop there for now. I think, though, you need to come back. We need to do a deep dive.
You know how to find me.
Yes, I know how to find you. I know how to find you. And you guys should know how to find Miss Kysha. Also, make sure you support Forward Life Church in Arlington, Texas. Pastor Rico is the bomb, so you definitely want to go and catch a word, okay? And catch that spirit. We are going to be back with another short in a few weeks, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're amazing. We love you.
Love you too. Tune